All right, I've got my friend Justin Brook here today. He is a media buying master. He's leveraging AI in a lot of cool ways to build different automated workflows and help people scale their businesses. Wanted to have him hop on and do a demo for us today and let us in on kind of what he's seeing in this automation space in the ads world. So welcome, Justin.
James, great to be on, man. Thank you so much.
Awesome to have you. Cool. So yeah, what have you been cooking up lately?
Well, I've been working on this idea. I first saw it on X, just some guy was like, hey, you could predict winners before they start. And we'll talk about him here in a minute. I like to give credit where credit is due. But you never know what you're going to find on X. There's a lot of crazy stuff on there. And I was like, man, this is crazy. So I kind of followed the rabbit trail a little bit and watched some of his videos. I was like, oh, this guy's really cooking. He's got something here. And so let me just break it down. I'm going to just share my screen. It's going to be easier to kind of show you than just tell you. So
Perfect.
let me share. Let me just get my screen on the right one first.
hmm
So we want to go here. All right.
Yeah, on X, when you browse the feed, there's all these like workflows and people doing these giveaways. And I think one of the hard parts right now is like you got to separate the signal from the noise out there. You know what I mean? A lot of noise. So uh,
Yeah.
that's why I was excited to talk with you because I know you have a lot of experience in this space and your workflow is going to actually have like a real quality output. So yeah, let's see what you got.
Yeah. So the idea here is to be able to predict winning ads before you spend any money. And if you could do that, it's like the way that I've been positioning it is like if you could predict the lottery numbers,
hmm
would you? I mean, who wouldn't, right? And it's like,
For sure.
well, okay, so that might be illegal, or I don't even know where we go there, right? But like, what's completely legal is you could predict winning ads before they launch, and
hmm
that's I don't know, that's pretty close to predicting the lottery numbers,
Yeah.
Um, if you can predict something that's going to scale, what's it going to scale to? 10,000, 100,000, a million? Who
Right.
knows?
Right.
So it starts with there's three pieces of this, and I'm going to walk through like I'm going to show you guys like the super easy basic kindergarten version of it. Then we're going to walk up to the middle school version of it. Then I'm going to show you like the college level version of it. Where people should be going. So all right, so you start with a customer simulator, right? You need to get feedback. And this is the same thing people have been doing for hundreds of years in marketing. They would have focus groups, you would do customer development calls, you would do surveys to your email list. Like you have to get feedback from a market. And then from there, you go and write new copy. And then from there, you would split test that copy. Well, now with AI, we can run that whole process, ahead of time. And so one of the things, the big things, and I know your audience is going to remember this, but just for anybody that's like a super noob or anything like that, one of the things they have to understand about AI and these LLMs is they were designed to pretend to be somebody. They were
Mhm.
designed to figure out the next words in the sentence, and so they're really good at pretending to be something. So you can have it pretend to be your customer. You can have
Mhm.
it. I mean, that's one of the
Yeah.
basic prompts we always do, right? You are a world class copywriter. You have 10 years experience. Like that's what we're always doing. That's the
Right.
so this is a project in ChatGPT, and I'm just using ChatGPT because I know most people have that, but you can build this
Mhm.
in Perplexity and Abacus and any of the different programs. You're going to start with an instruction. Okay, so you're going to have to put your customers into here. These are just my customers. This is legitimately my tool here that I'm using. So pretend you are a struggling digital ad freelancer. That's my target audience. You are now part of a panel of prospects reviewing ads as a focus group. Your job is to give your opinion about how the ads make you feel and what they could do better. Right? So we're just building a little guy that's sitting by our side every time I'm using this for email subject lines. I started using this for my LinkedIn post, and all of a sudden my engagement's way up on my LinkedIn post because like
Yeah.
I write something and then the guy next to me says, "Hey, that sucks," and it's like I don't have to find out after posting it that it sucked. I can find out before posting it, and then I can tweak it. So, all right, let's dive a little bit deeper. You have two main problems, and this is my customer problems. You have to know your customer problem. You have two main problems as a digital advertiser. Need more. Oh, also, make sure you put, but not limited to these two,
Mhm.
right? Because this
Yep.
is the priority, but I also want it to be like, hey, remember, I also have this problem. So they need more clients, they need more digital ad strategies. All right.
Yep.
Then when I give you ads to look at, I want you to give me your raw personal feelings about that ad. Does it relate to you? Does it address your needs? What about it appeals to you? What about it turns you off? What would you wish the ad said? How could you can put all your questions in there. All right. Last part here, do not use generic information about copywriting or advertising. Stick to your persona and critique the ads based on your own desires, challenges, fears, frustrations, and goals. Because I don't, the LLM will default to like best practices of advertising.
Right.
I want it to stay in character.
Yep.
That's the
I
first.
like this a lot because what's funny is most people don't even use projects within ChatGPT. So like just having this as like this kind of available like project hub for simulating customer responses is a time saver alone in and of itself, I feel.
Yeah. Throw your email subject line in there before you send an email
Yeah.
and get feedback. It's like I'm doing it for all kinds of things. I was going to make a new ad on Facebook. I dropped my ad in there and it was like, actually, I wish it said this. So I changed that and bam, it worked.
Awesome.
So the other part about projects is project files so that you can give it more information. So I wanted to train it better. And so I just used like a Manus or whatever deep research to create a customer persona for my audience. I've got the ability, I've been doing this for 10 years in ad skills, so I added a lot of survey data and stuff like that. So it now knows, because of this PDF, who my client is very, very well. So between the project file and the prompt, it knows how to act.
Yep.
So let me pull up one of these and let's see. Sometimes it's pretty brutal, so I'm not going to give one of the ones where it just rips me a whole new one here.
You
But
need to have thick
let's
skin when asking the AI for feedback.
absolutely. All right, so here's an example. I gave it an ad, and then it gave me some impression. I immediately felt intimidated and a little turned off. Dude standing there jacked in a tight white tank top next to a 2 Comma Club award, like he's trying to flex on me in more ways than one. It gives me alpha bro energy. I'm not saying he's wrong for showing proof, but right now I'm exhausted by juggling. So he's just saying like, hey, it's cool that you're like, next to your award and you're in a thing and you're at the gym and all that stuff, but like, that's not addressing my actual needs.
Right. Right.
And so what works, what appeals to me, the numbers. I like the dollar into $4.73. I like the 31% cold traffic conversion. I like the 63% drop in CAC. And we know our market. Like, we know that those things would absolutely, they love the specific numbers, packaged everything into a blueprint, fitness enthusiasm. So it said, here's everything that's wrong with your ad. Here's the parts that I like. Here's what I wish you would say. If all it did was that, that's valuable.
Absolutely.
But then there's more.
Good.
So what we do is we take that feedback and now we need to create new variations. And so I made a copywriter project, right? And so like I'm saying, guys, this is the kindergarten version that anybody can build like really quickly. And so just a standard, you're a copywriter prompt in here, your assignment, I will give you an ad we ran. I'll give you the feedback prospects gave us about that ad. Consider the feedback and the original ad. Then use your vast experience with copywriting to write 3 new. And if you want 10 new, 27 new, whatever,
Yep.
just remember context windows. 3 new optimized versions of the ad. Make sure when you write the ad copy, use my voice. I've got ChatGPT already trained on my voice and custom instructions and all that.
Yep.
Never format your responses with dividers. I hate that ChatGPT does that with emojis and dividers. Like I just said, format it like an internal team email, giving your brief insights plus the rewritten versions. This is so cool because it's literally like sending off feedback to a copywriter that's on your team, and he just emails you back. I mean, it feels very real. So we drop the copy in here, the feedback in here, and then the copywriter is going to take the feedback in the original ad, and he's going to write 3 new variations. So, I mean, here's an example of it: version 1, version 2, version 3, yada yada. All right.
Yep.
But then there's another. Now, again, if all it did was this part, right, feedback, and then write us new variations, That alone is a service that people could be setting up for companies. Because
Yep.
what that allows you to do is Cindy out in the front office can now write copy, because Cindy's going to hack something together that's horrible. It's going to go to the customer feedback. The customer's going to be like, change this, change that, change that. The copywriter is going to go write a good version of that. So now Cindy out front, all love to Cindy, love you, but now anybody in the company can be a copywriter.
Yep. Yep.
And so
Yeah.
if all,
That's crazy. And like, I don't know, like just the power that these systems and these tools give, one individual, is insane. Like they can write copy, they can analyze data, they can do all kinds of stuff. Like it's pretty incredible the leverage that you can gain from this type of thing.
yeah, yeah. So last piece, we got to predict a winner. Okay. So what I do is we send this over to I thought it was a cool name to name it, prediction engine. And so what I did is I gave it instructions. You're an expert data analyst. You have decades of experience using data to create predictions. When I submit ad creative to you, I want you to use your entire known knowledge of advertising and copywriting best practices to assign a score to each ad. And so that's important because ChatGPT already knows what good direct response is. It knows problem, agitate, solution, and headlines and unique mechanism. It knows all that stuff. So using all of its known knowledge, all right, best practices to assign a score to each ad. This score is called the success probability score, and it judges each ad based on the original feedback from the panel of customers, all right, and the known best practices to create a probability. So it's going to look at the feedback, the new variations, and all best practices, and it's going to start, assigning a score. Don't give me a long explanation. Just give me the success probability score for each of the ads, score them 0 through 100, and then I kind of tell it like, a scoring chart right here.
Yep. Yep.
So then what it does, I'll jump into one of these. And so it says, all right, version 1, success probability score 91%. The reason why was this, that, and the other. Version 2, 85. This one's 68%. And then I don't know why it didn't give me the variation on this one. Maybe the other one did. But essentially what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to tell you, based on all known best practices, based on the feedback, this variation should be the one that's going to win.
Yeah. And I mean, to do that manually is impossible. If you were just trying to do that prior to AI, like there's just no way to do that. Like to go out there and do all of that research and references and retain all of that knowledge, like that's crazy.
Right. And that is quite literally like what an ad agency would do. They're going to take your crappy ads that you've written. They're going to go write you better ads. They're going to go and split test them, find the best winners. And that's why people hire ad agencies for years. Well, this allows anybody to kind of install an ad agency into their business, and they can predict which one's going to have the highest likelihood of winning going forward. Now, I've been doing ads for 20 years, and this thing's at least as smart as me, because every time that I've been like, I think that one's the best one, it also ends up choosing that one as the best one. Now, then you have to run it and see how well it actually converts, and then you'll tweak your prompts and stuff like that, but for the most part, this thing's really good at coming up with new variations, telling you which one's the best one. Run with that. Any questions or anything about that before I go forward into like the middle school version of this?
No, this is great. I like how you're using ChatGPT projects here. I think this is a very underutilized feature. I like the approachability. Like anyone can set this up. You don't have to know how to code or anything like that. You don't even know how to build a complicated workflow or anything. Like you can get value quickly following this process. I like how you have you're arming it with context, your brand voice and things like that. So you don't have to go back and prompt all those things from a fresh screen.
Yeah.
It's already able to reference that stuff and get to where you want to go quickly, which is great.
Right. And so as you know, we've been training ad agencies for years, and we're kind of telling them like, I'm sorry, but the stuff we've taught you for the last 10 years has changed. The market has changed. It's not our fault. It's not like it went out of date or anything. Just the market has moved. And so we're trying to get people ahead of the curve. And this is what we're showing them how to do is like, it's no longer really you're getting paid to run ads for people. You're getting paid to install these kind of things on the client's ChatGPTs because now they have the power. They don't want to go watch all the YouTubes and learn how to write all the different prompts and stuff, but they'll rate you $3,000, $5,000 to come build this for my business. That way, Cindy out in the front lobby can now run all of our Facebook ads for us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like it's about empowering and building these systems for clients. That's like one of the biggest opportunities out there right now in the service and agency world. Like I've seen it on I own a couple agencies. I've seen that as well there. Like we've sort of pivoted from doing delivery to just installing and empowering these systems for clients. And that does a couple things. One, like if you're an agency owner or a freelancer or whatever, that removes some of that like performance pressure off of you in a sense. Like you're empowering them to handle it. And that's cool. They're not messaging you like, what's going on with this particular ad or whatever. It also elevates you, I think. Like it takes you from being seen as kind of like a task doer into a strategic consultant or a strategic implementer, which means you can charge more money, you can attract better clients, and you're valued more, which, I started out as a freelancer back in the day. And that's probably when I found your newsletter a long time ago, probably 2013 or something. And I just remember like I hated how I was like talked to and dealing with those clients and stuff. And now when you learn these systems, you're the expert in the room and it's a completely different ballgame.
Yeah, and people are willing to pay a lot more upfront because this isn't really I mean, you could attach retainers and do this monthly, but it's kind of like an installation business, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's easier to get a 5K, 8K, 10, 15, depends on what size company you're installing this for, but like installing something like this is easier to get those bigger payments up front because it's a one and done, it's not a monthly retainer.
Yeah, and the sort of like offering stack for digital entrepreneurs. You have kind of like, hey, I'm going to sell you a course or a membership. You're going to learn how to do it yourself. Then you have the done with you sort of like middle area, and then the top is kind of like I'm going to do everything for you. Well, now you can do like you can install it, and then you can easily get to those other layers. Like once you install for clients, then maybe you have like a group coaching program or something like that that's going to add value to a lot more people. You're going to have way more leverage. You're going to be able to make more money. Your margins are going to be higher as well.
Absolutely. All right. So can we go on to the middle school version of this?
Let's do it. Let's
Okay.
graduate.
All right. So now we're going to use, I like MindStudio. There's Make, there's N8N, there's, Gumloop, like there's a million tools, today. Choose whichever one you are going to like using. I like using MindStudio, so that's the one that I use. But you could do the exact same thing in any of the ones. Real quick, MindStudio, one thing that I like, I'm not paid by them or anything like that, is they already have a bunch of bots made. And then when you click into any of these, you can click copy and it copies it into your account and you can start customizing that bot. That's how I learned in the beginning to start creating the beginnings of workflows and such, like this one, turning content into a LinkedIn post. And then you can add another, then turn it into a Twitter and then turn it into an email. And so you can keep going. So I have built that version that we just showed you in ChatGPT. I've built it and I call it Advertiser Alex, and so I can just run this thing at any time. Now let me go into my builds and show you what Advertiser Alex looks like. All right.
It's a cool platform. Like before we connected, I didn't even really know of it, but it seems like very direct. I like the simplicity, so I'm gonna dig into this after the call as well.
Yeah, I know the founder would hate me to say this, and I love your tool, man. I absolutely love your tool. It's kind of like the easy version of N8N, like the training wheels version. It's very easy to get started. So if you've been looking at some of the other tools and you're like, this is way over my head, try MindStudio.
Awesome.
Or maybe he loves that description. Okay, so let's talk about it. So when you first jump into one of these automations, you're going to have like a start and then a plus sign, right? When you click the plus sign, it allows you to add modules or nodes, and there's tons of them. You can generate text, generate images, charts, text to speech, create a podcast, scrape URLs. You could chat, you can fetch YouTube comments, scrape Instagram mentions. I mean, there's a bajillion things. Throw it into a Google Sheet, like whatever you want to do. Go find an email, summarize text, create a Notion page. Like there's a lot of things that you can do with these things. All right. But all I want to do is the first thing I want to do is I want to have a user input, right? And so all that is, if I click into here, it's just a form field, So I need one that's like a long text field. That way they can enter in a whole email or a whole Facebook ad or a whole blog post. And then I need one that's an image upload. That way they can upload the Facebook ad or whatever. Okay. So we got to have a way to like dump the ad into the machine.
Yep.
Now, once the user uploads the ad, then what it's going to do is it jumps over to an LLM. And you can choose, one thing I like about them is you can choose a bunch of different LLMs. So if you want to use Claude 4 or DeepSeek or Gemini or Llama, whatever you want to use, they've got all of them in here. I like DeepSeek. I just like the way that it thinks a little bit better and math type stuff. Writing, I'd probably use a Claude, Yep. But and also DeepSeek's pretty cheap. It's like 55 cents per million tokens, so it's a bunch cheaper than Claude is at the moment. So same exact thing that we built in ChatGPT, but we just built it now in MindStudio. We allow it to string it together. So now I don't have to like copy paste, open a new window, drop it in there, copy paste that one, drop it in here. It's doing all the copy paste, drop it in there for me. Yep. Right? So that's exactly what we built. So same exact prompt, but whenever each of these steps allows you to assign, I don't know if it'll allow me to open this. No, it won't let me allow to open that. But each thing then has a variable. And I barely know what variables are. It's like when it runs the prompt, the output of that prompt is then called this variable.
Yep.
Which allows me to, on the next step, I just want to display the output of this step. So I just put the variable, right? So it just takes it, and then the variables allow you to carry things forward.
Yep.
So in this one, we have a variable called new ad. We have a variable called new image. We drop those into the prompt, and then we have it reference our customer research, which this is another cool thing about MindStudio is it allows you to go and put in data sources in there. You can put up to 150 text documents in there or up to 5 million words. And I find when I've used this, it's better to have a lot of little files than it is one big file. These tools, they're able to read a big file. It's just harder for them. So in here, we put our customer avatar, so it references that. So if we go back, so you can see here, it's referencing our avatar, and then we're saying like, here is the new ad or the new image. It does the feedback, it displays it, and now I don't have to make it display. I can have it just run the system and then give me a score at the end. I want to play along. I find value. I learn in the feedback part. So when it's done there, I want it to show to me. I read the feedback. That's cool. Then I hit the next button on my interface, and now it's going to run the copywriter. The copywriter is going to do the 3 variations, and it's going to send me an email. The variable is called add variations. We display the content. So the same thing. Like it's a prompt. Then we would display the output, then it's a prompt, then we display the output, then it's a prompt, and then we have the finish, So now we're displaying, here's the 3 different variations. And then finally it goes to the prediction. And one thing you might want to do is, so it's doing the prediction based on the customer sim feedback, right? We're pulling that variable along, then we're pulling the add variations along. And then at the end here, the output behavior is displayed to user, and that's where it goes to the endpoint. What do you want to, anything you want to say about this before I go on?
I like this because this platform seems so intuitive. Like, the output behavior, you're just letting it know how you want the output. Do you want it in a text format or whatever? And that seems pretty straightforward. I really also like these model choices that you can implement into here, DeepSeek or ChatGPT or whatever. Like in N8N, like what I do, and maybe this isn't the right way now, but I use Open Router which allows me to select which model I want to use for a specific task. But that's another tool and another subscription and another node I have to go figure out how to
Yeah.
configure. So this actually seems like it can accomplish a lot in fewer steps, which is great. I'm all about
Yeah.
that.
One other tool that I want to show people is in the automation that I think it's always by default called main flow. And then right next to automation, so as you're setting up your thing, by the way, you can add more modules up and down and left and right, and you can make whatever crazy thing you want to invent. You can do
Yep.
all of that, and then you just connect them. You can see here there's like a little dot on each side, so you can kind of draw arrows to each thing. But the other thing is a system prompt. And so each step has a prompt, but then there's also a global prompt. And so that's where you would tweak it. It's like, hey, never add emojis to it,
Yes.
or always make sure to do this thing when you run these things. And so you can, as you run this thing, add to the system prompt so that it's working better as you go forward.
Interesting. Maybe you have a brand guide or whatever that looks like, I guess, which is really, really cool. I like that.
Yeah. And then it lets you get super nerdy. I mean, there's functions and like if you're a coder and you know all the different features in here, like that's as far as I go. That's the
Yeah.
top of my pay grade.
Yep.
But it will allow you to get deeper into this thing. You can run code, you can pass variables, and you can do all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yep.
So I think the value, kind of the college level of this, right, is building these. I've built it now that I have it built. It's really easy because I can just go make a copy,
Hmm.
tweak a couple of the prompts for another company, and go install this for them. And now they've got this tool. Now, one of the cool things about, let's see, let's see. So here's all my published ones. And
Hmm.
then it allows you, so I could just quickly duplicate this, but MindStudio allows you to embed the bot. So you can embed it in a members area if you build a cool tool and you want to say, you can connect like a Stripe, PayPal, and then you can just sell access to the
Yep.
bot.
Yep.
You can set up another customer's MindStudio account, and then you can just pass this thing on, duplicate it into their account. And
That
so
could be a
it makes it
great
really
lead.
easy to kind of turn this into like an agency where you're building this for other people.
That could be a great lead magnet as well. Like I could
Brilliant.
envision like, running traffic to an agent or whatever that's embedded on a landing page. Maybe it's a snippet or a smaller version or something like that. They're able to run it, get value, and then you have a call to action afterwards and they're on your email list. I mean, that like, a lot of lead magnets, I think, have lost their perceived value over the past couple years. Like anyone can make an ebook, you know what I mean? Anyone can make an infographic or whatever that looks like. But this, like, I think people would really feel a lot of the like that initial value delivery and be really interested in whatever the next thing is.
I'm 1,000% with you. I think lead magnets have moved on from like
Yeah.
ebooks and stuff. Prompts are one of the greatest lead magnets I'm using right now. And then you're right, like a pre-built agent that they can just go install is a hugely valuable
Yeah.
lead magnet. And so
Yeah.
one other thing
Absolutely.
I want to show you is that, with this tool, sorry guys, I'm a little sick here. I'm trying to hold it, hang in there. But
You're good.
one of the things that this tool can do is you can see the history and you can turn that on and off. Some things are more private, chatbots and things like that, but it allows me to see every usage. That way I can diagnose, I can go, oh, okay, I see where it gave something wrong here. I'm going to change the prompt. And so as you let your clients or your friends use this thing, you can come back in here and see all the things that they ran and then tweak it from there.
Yep, yep. Optimize. I mean, I often view this as also like a continual process, like once you build an agent or a workflow, there's always ways you can improve it and make it better and things like that. So this history seems like a nice way to kind of get that information and get that data.
Yeah, yeah. It takes a little while at a time. That's why I didn't run it live for you guys. Because I mean, it's going to the thing and it's doing a lot of thinking, and sometimes it takes 2 minutes. It does have a very cool little animation there while you wait. But yeah, so
Yeah.
this would be the outcome, and you can design it to make it prettier or whatever if you want to. But I don't need it. I just need it to assign a score and then display the winner for me. So.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. I think this is super valuable. If I was running ads right now, I would definitely want to know this ahead of time because you can waste a lot of time and money like guessing or running all kinds of creative variations and, blow a bunch of money or whatever. So, being able to kind of shortcut that process, make it a lot quicker. And the fact that anyone can do it, anyone can set something like this up and get that data into their existing sort of way of working. Like, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it's phenomenal. I'm geeking out with all the toys that are available now. Like I feel like I'm just playing these days. I'm not actually working.
I know.
Now, what I would tell somebody here is we had a guest on one of our workshops named Raj, who is the guy that I learned this from at Raj RAJJHA on Twitter. Check him out. He's amazing, brilliant guy, and he made a really good point. Sorry, my microphone's falling. He made a
Mhm.
really good point in saying that like if you just have one customer persona, then you could actually steer in the wrong direction. You're going to steer in the right direction of just one specific customer, but when we run our Facebook ads, we don't get to choose only that one person. Like if
Right.
for me, targeting people who've read the book Millionaire Fastlane or Rich Dad Poor
Mhm.
Dad works really well, right?
Yep.
Well, when I target somebody who's read Millionaire Fastlane, well, there's a 45-year-old male, and there's a 33-year-old female, at the same
Yeah.
time.
Right.
And she's selling courses and he's selling services. And so what he has done is he's built a whole company out of this where he, instead of your panel is one customer, it's legitimately 500, 1,000 personas. So you get a little bit better market feedback back. And so like there are big boy college versions of this, and he's
Yeah.
he's going after big businesses and selling what we're talking about here at a low level. He's selling this at a high level to enterprise companies.
Very interesting. Now, like, just to chat about Facebook ads for a
Yeah.
sec, like you've been in it for a long time. I've been into Facebook ads for a long time. Like, remember the old days of Power Editor and all
Yeah.
that. Back in the day, it was all about like interest targeting, and then we went through this thing where it was like, hey, just go broad and let the algorithm do whatever. Where are we at today? Is interest targeting back? Is that valuable? I've seen some people talking about it. I haven't run ads for a bit, so where do you stand on that right now?
Yeah, pretty much the whole industry is moving towards this black box because I mean, there's guys like us that are, good enough to be dangerous, when we're in there, but the average user doesn't know the difference between direct response and branding, doesn't know what a
Yeah.
problem agitate solution is, and so they're trying, it feels like they're taking away from us, who are good. They're giving us, they're taking away our levers and
Yes.
tools. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it easier for their average user. And so their average user doesn't know how to split test, doesn't know how to write good copy. And so they're constantly taking away these features like interest targeting, keyword lookups, and
Yep.
they're just making it more and more of a black box because they're like, look, we've hired billions of dollars of the world's smartest algorithm engineers and AIs and stuff. Just let us do it. Just give us your copy and let
Right.
us do it. Legitimately, I would say 5 years ago, I was like, no way. Do not let their systems take over for you. Today, we're more in the realm of like, you know what? They're righter than they're wronger is the weird phrase we use.
Hmm.
They're right like 80 to 90% of the time, which means they're still going to be wrong,
Yeah.
but they're going to be right more often than they're wrong. And so ultimately, you will optimize to be better. And so it is, right now it's kind of moving more and more away from like specific niche targeting, which sucks for an OG like me. I want
Yep.
that control, but their AIs are getting really good and they're able to, yeah, just target broad and do well.
Yeah.
You just want to make sure your copy does the targeting because when you go broad, the AI is looking at your copy and is going, oh, I know, you want to go to these people.
Yep, yep. And a couple weeks back, I wrote this tweet and it was like, what's the most underrated marketing channel out there right now? And I think you had a reply that got like a ton of likes. Like it was like the top reply on there, and it
Yeah.
said Google Ads. I can't believe people are sleeping on
Yeah.
Google Ads.
You
So
had like 150 comments and not a single one said Google Ads. I was like,
I,
how is this not even an option today? It's still like there's a lot of great advertising. TikTok ads, Reddit ads, Amazon now has ads. If you sell books, Amazon ads is amazing. But it's like I start with Google ads, you know.
right. Those people
Yeah.
are searching for exactly what I'm selling. Like, might as well
Right.
start there, right?
Yeah, I sell a book about retargeting and I advertise on the keyword retargeting book. I
Yeah.
don't have to be a brilliant copywriter to sell a retargeting book to somebody who just searched for a retargeting book.
Yeah, they already have that intent. They're in the market, and you just have to show up.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is great. So, man, this was awesome. I feel like I learned a bunch from this. I'm definitely going to check out MindStudio. I feel like I'm not using projects in ChatGPT enough. That's awesome. And I like this predictive idea that you showed. I think it's really powerful. I think there's a lot of use cases for it, and had a lot of fun just kind of jamming on the nature of the ad business. So,
Yeah.
where can people learn more from you? Like again, like just to preface, I think I found your content back in like 2013 or something like that. And I was a struggling freelancer back then. And you were sharing lessons like from, running all these major campaigns for like, direct response businesses and all that. And got a lot of value from you over the years. And, where can people learn from you now?
Yeah, so I'm on X.
Yeah.
Facebook locked me out. I didn't do anything wrong. I couldn't log in, and every time I'd have to like submit my ID, and then they give me codes. I was like, I don't like you that much, you know.
Yeah.
So I moved over to X and learned how to, you guys talk different on X than Facebook. Thank God.
Yeah.
It's great. And so I moved over to X. So I am Justin Brook. So the letter I, letter M, Justin Brook. And that's me over on X, and I'm there most of the time. But I've also just gotten on LinkedIn. You just search Justin Brook on LinkedIn, and I'm sharing stuff over there. And then my company is adskills.com.
Awesome. Awesome. And you train people how to leverage all of these systems and workflows and leveraging AI kind of in their ad work, right?
Yeah, we're showing people how to use AI in the profession of media buying.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks again, Justin. I think people are going to get a lot of value from this, and let's run it back sometime. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. I've got many more workflows, so definitely have me back.
Let's do it, man. All right,
All
Justin.
right,
Thanks a
man.
lot. We'll
Talk
chat
soon.
soon.